The price of Jide Dream Nigeria. Jide had always dreamed of leaving Nigeria for a better life. He had heard stories of people making it big abroad, sending money home, and living in luxury. So when he finally secured a visa to Europe, he sold everything he had, borrowed money from friends, and booked a one-way ticket. When he landed in Italy, the reality hit him hard. The cold air bit into his skin. He had never felt this kind of chill before. He had no friends, no family, and no place to stay. The agent who had promised him accommodation and a job stopped answering his calls. With his last few euros, he bought a cheap meal and spent the night at a train station, shivering in his thin jacket. Days turned into weeks and things only got worse. He wandered the streets looking for work, but nobody wanted to hire a man without papers. He met other immigrants who told him horror stories. Some had been stuck in the country for years, barely surviving. One night, hungry and exhausted, Jide met an elderly Ghanaian man named Kwame, who had lived in Italy for over 2 decades. Kwame took pity on him and let him sleep in his small, crowded apartment. He warned Jide, "Europe is not the paradise you think it is. It's only good for those who are ready to suffer and fight for their place." Jide now faced a choice: return home in shame or struggle to survive in a land that wasn't as welcoming as he had imagined. Would he find a way out, or would he become just another lost dreamer? The price of a dream. Extended Jide spent his first few nights on a thin mat in the corner of Kwame's tiny apartment. The room was overcrowded with other immigrants, each with their own story of struggle. Some had been in Italy for years and still hadn't found stable work. Others were undocumented and lived in constant fear of deportation. During the day, Jide wandered the streets looking for any kind of work. He walked into restaurants, construction sites, and markets, asking if anyone needed help. Most people shook their heads. Some didn't even bother to look at him. One afternoon, while sitting on a park bench, he met another Nigerian named Emeka. Unlike Jide, Emeka had been in Italy for 3 years and knew how to survive. He told Jide about a place where undocumented immigrants could get small jobs, washing dishes in restaurants, helping at construction sites, or working as street vendors. Desperate, Jide followed Emeka to a rundown neighborhood where dozens of African men stood on a street corner, waiting for agents to pick them up for daily labor. The pay was low, the work was backbreaking, and there were no guarantees. Some days, there was no work at all. Weeks passed, and Jide found himself barely surviving. The small money he earned went straight to food and transportation. He sent nothing home. His family, who had celebrated his departure, was beginning to ask questions. "How is life over there?" his mother would ask on the phone. "God is helping me," he would reply, hiding the truth. One night, after an exhausting day at a construction site, Jide returned to Kwame's apartment to find police officers raiding the building. Someone had tipped them off about undocumented immigrants living there. Jide and a few others managed to escape through a back alley, but Kwame and several others were arrested. Now homeless again, Jide spent the next few nights sleeping under a bridge with other stranded immigrants. The dream that once burned so brightly in his heart now felt like a cruel joke. Had he made a mistake coming here? But just when he was about to give up, something unexpected happened. A woman named Clara, an Italian social worker, noticed him sleeping on the street and offered help. She connected him with an organization that assisted immigrants in finding shelter and legal work. It wasn't much, but it was a lifeline. Would you like me to expand the story further? Comment yes, and wait for part 2 of this story.